And welcome to Healthcare Sucks with your new official Woo-ha corn. As you notice, he's a little spotty, but that's what happens when unicorns get the W.19. It turns him spotty like this. So with this, he's official. He's going to be helping do the news tonight. So with that, in more seriousness, whoa. When I'm doing the news, you don't get to talk. But I want to talk. I want to talk about the Wuhan 19. All right, you can talk after me. On a more serious note, yeah, you have to wait this one out for a minute. Okay, the Wuhan corn is now officially out of the site. Seriousness, for real. Okay, we've got Pence now in control of the Wuhan 19 coronavirus in the United States. What's wrong with that picture? Yeah. Anybody who watched Mr. T's speech the other day, he was totally off. Not just from the trip, I believe, to India, but he's sick at his stomach. I'm going to be honest with you, because this is a man that has ran his whole presidency by his pride in the stock market. And we know the stock market is on the edge. Everybody that's been a stock market watching person for a catastrophe, whoever's out there, you know who you are. I always watch a lot of things, so it's just one of the tools in my toolbox. So I just want to make sure the film's running. And we're good to go. So with the stock market, if you go back and research, we're due. And I ran a film the other day from an expert that said you can only ride the bull market and ride the wave for so long. I went into the wave riding thing, and then the wave crashes. Well, what caused this wave crash, and the reason they're not talking about it more in the United States and they're tapping it down, is because the stock market is going to crash more. I don't know how far it's going to go, but I'm telling you up front, it's going down. Talk about 3,000 with maybe today, tomorrow. I'm going to give you an estimate. Once it gets to rocking and rolling in the United States, it's going to drop below 2. And let's hope not much further. I'm not a stock market professional, so maybe you guys can educate me. With that, Pence has now put a gag order on all health officials in the United States. So if you guys are health professionals and you know somebody, email me. If you send a number, I'll call you. We can talk. I'll keep it totally confidential. I'm looking to get any news in any state just to put numbers up. I'm going to get the studio set up and try to get some kind of map. And maybe we can start pegging things. We'll see what I can find around. But yeah, with the gag order, what does that tell you guys? They're tamping it down, and they're tamping it down for more than one reason. But I'm going to show you some films. It's out of control, and I think I've already made it clear. If you need to go watch part 1 and part 2 about their factories, they're not out of stuff, and this was ordained. They're making plenty. Not only did they drain their own supply supposedly, now we've all sent stuff over and everywhere's going to be short. We're in deep doo-doo. And our meds are going to not be getting filled. It's getting scary. One of mine is a blood thinner and I'm not going to be getting it, guys. So far they can't get it nowhere. So I'm going to have to look at old school, maybe go back to Coumadin, which if anybody knows what an INR is, I couldn't control mine with an INR. I would jump points in a day, which means I'd be taking like 10 milligrams one day or 2. And then if I had a bleeding episode, then I would be chasing it. I'd have to cut down to 0 or 1 for a couple days. And then we'd have to start over because then you start getting blood clots. And blood clots are dangerous, my friends. When they talk about strokes, a lot of times that's what strokes are from. Okay, so back to the point. There's a lot going on, guys. And then the war over there in Syria is kicking up. I'm going to jump right into some films. Here we go.
COVID-19 is beginning to disrupt lives around the world, well beyond the epicenter in China. From flight cancellations and travel restrictions to warnings of serious economic implications, millions of people are feeling the effects of what's become an international health crisis. There are now confirmed cases in at least 50 countries. In France, where there are 38 known cases, the president told doctors today an epidemic is coming and to prepare for it. The biggest outbreaks outside Asia are still in Italy and Iran, but almost every hour another country confirms new cases. The potential impact has spooked investors so much, the investment bank Goldman Sachs forecasts American companies will see zero earnings growth in 2020.
Zero earnings. They're scared. They're running. The Wall Streeters are going to start tucking their money into gold and other things. It's already been done. And what else she said was every few minutes another country's starting to report. Few minutes. That don't sound like, that far apart. I know it was going days, but I didn't know every few minutes they're talking about another one. Remember when I talked about the clock and the deficit? Tick, 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 tick. That's what we want to watch for again.
New York, the Dow Jones plummeted almost 1,200 points. That's the biggest one-day point decline in history. In Toronto, there were huge sell-offs, too. On the TSX, it dropped more than 300 points before trading was abruptly halted for the day. The exchange blamed technical issues. Here's what's also fueling fears. Thousands of people in California are being monitored for signs of COVID-19. They may have come into contact with a woman who tested positive there, and she was sick for a week before she was tested. How she got the virus is a mystery. Officially, there are 60 confirmed cases in the U.S., but it's clear now not everyone who should be tested is being tested.
And with that, let's look at what's going on in California right this minute.
Who are working to trace contacts for this disease process, make sure that they prevent spread, test people who are at risk, make sure that they're aware of the cause and spread of the disease, and to keep us all safe. So I'd like to introduce part of the team here. We'll just name them and they can wave their hand. We have Dr. Christopher Brandon, Deputy Director of the National Center for Emerging and Zoonotic Infectious Diseases from CDC. We have Charity Dean, Deputy Director of the State of California Department of Public Health.
But this case does signal to us that it's now time to shift how we respond to the novel coronavirus. The public health measures that we've taken so far, isolation, quarantine, contact tracing, and travel restrictions, have helped to slow the spread of disease, and we will continue to implement them. We will continue to trace close contacts of our cases to try to limit the spread of the virus, but now we need to add other public health tools to the mix. So now that we have a case who did not recently travel or come in contact with anyone known to be ill,
2 cases.
What does this mean? What we know now is that the virus is here, present at some level, but we still don't know to what degree. An important priority, therefore, for us is to conduct public health surveillance to determine the extent of what's happening. Now that our county public health laboratory has the ability to run the test, we can more quickly evaluate what's happening in our community. But needless to say, we can't do this work alone. And this morning we asked our colleagues from the California Department of Public Health and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention for assistance, and their teams have already arrived to our operations center and are here with us today. And I really cannot thank them enough. I know that at the last press conference announcing our other cases, I expressed the importance of having so many partners and so much support. It is absolutely impossible to and to start thinking about what actions they can take now so we can be prepared for the possibility of further spread of the virus in our community. Thank you very much for coming today, and we will certainly share more about this situation as it evolves. Thank you.
They talk quarantine. Again, I'm going to put it at you guys. No officials, no health people, nobody has talked about once you're quarantined and you can't work, what are they going to do? Are they going to postpone rents, payments to houses, cars, credit cards? All that's going to have to be put on hold. In addition to that, everybody that gets put on a quarantine, everybody is going to have to be issued, unless you're rich, going to have to be issued a card with food stamp abilities and cash abilities so you can order stuff to come to the house. In addition, you're going to have all your debts put on hold, and the debt holders, the banks, are going to have to deal with it. They're going to have to deal with it in a way that does not affect credit. I want you guys to remember what I just said. Feel free to call your governor, any of the boobs in the Senate and the House. I'll be making calls next week. I couldn't get a hold of Wyden's office. It did not go through. And the governor's office is not going through. It's just going to voicemails. I wonder why. With that, here's another part of Cal. I want you to watch also what's going on in Syria. So let's take a look.
The horrifying moments caught on camera. Police body camera captured the screams of women and children echoing through a home.
Can you talk to me about what?
To clarify, we're using the Fair Use Act, which means we can share and distribute any of these things underneath. We're not making a profit off of it. We're doing to help people. In addition to that, I'm supposed to clarify that it's all fiction. Everything I'm showing you, including this picture, all fiction. Nothing to see here. But you guys know the truth. So let's continue with the truth.
The dramatic airstrikes, Turkey releasing this drone footage of a hit on Syrian government targets. The fighting between Russian-backed Syrian forces and Turkish-backed rebels has intensified in Syria's northwestern province. The region is home of a growing humanitarian catastrophe, potentially the worst in the conflict, which has endured for 9 years. The death toll growing, nearly 1 million displaced, while the world focuses its attention on the global coronavirus outbreak. And it is a growing crisis. In California, authorities are desperately trying to figure out how an infected mystery patient in California was exposed. And now word of a similar second case. The state has just 200 testing kits left. This is the World Health Organization.
200 testing kits left, and they don't work anyway, guys. They've already come out and said the ones that work with the ANA or whatever that is, they don't work. And supposedly they didn't have the right chemicals to make the kits. What kind of messed up thing is that? I'm serious. It's a bunch of boobs running things that, and the other ones are the WHO bozos. It just don't end with stupidity, guys. We can't catch a break so we can get ahead of this, except for on Healthcare Sucks and Healthcare Watchers, because you guys are on it. I'm on it. Let's watch a little bit more and we'll travel.
The organization is telling nations to get ready. COVID-19 found in one of the world's most populated cities in sub-Saharan Africa. More countries shutting down schools, and the Dow plunging again. It's the worst week since the 2008 Great Recession.
See that graph of the stock market? This is just the beginning. That's why Trump, again, is tapping it down. He is pooping bricks. And they're not gold, they're lead. Because he knows. He knows. He knows what's coming. And he really would like, I think, to come out and just tell us. But he's been advised. That's why he's playing this stupid game that it's all good here. There's nothing to see here. And they just said Africa got hit. And you know what that means? We did some videos, guys. It's going to spread like wildfire over there. It always does. And the refugees over in Syria, they're piled up against Turkey's border. They won't let them in. What's going to happen when that hits over there? Is this the start of Agenda 21's official rollout? I think it is. And look for, very soon, the roll in of the one world order. When you got one running one hand, the other running in the other, it ain't far off to where they try to pull some sneaky Pope-infested thing. And you all are awake. You know what I'm talking about, guys. Let's watch a couple more minutes and see what's going on.
The horrifying moments caught on camera. Police body camera captured the scream.
She was taken to the hospital with a respiratory illness. And in this press conference, you're going to hear them say that you need to be ready for the coronavirus to be coming into your neighborhood. You need to be prepared. You need to have a plan. They're going to say treat this as if you're encountering people who have the flu, but they're going to go a little bit further as well so that you can think about if you actually have a sick person or if you're going to have a sick family member, maybe you find an isolated part in your house or room or somewhere else where you can create some separation while you figure out what to do next. Lindsay.
That's not going to work. I've been doing healthcare for years, guys. If you tape and quarantine, it's in your house, guys. And this thing's airborne. They came out and admitted it. It's done. You all just hunker down. You try to get through it. You do the meds. You take as many precautions. If you can do vitamins, and nothing like that's going to hurt. Let's just say. And as tight as these healthcare bozos have been over the last 10 or 15 years saying, oh, we don't need to give out antibiotics. We don't need to. Very few of us have any on stock. And if you do, once it hits, yeah, if you can get to a doctor or whatever, and they'll give you antibiotics. The other thing is China is now treating it with an anti-malaria drug. Some people who are systemic lupus patients have Plaquenil, which is a anti-malaria drug. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to tell you what to do, what to mix, how to do it. That's up to you. I'm not going to tell you to go to the doctor. Don't go to the doctor. I mean, myself, I had to go in for tests. I mean, of all times to have to go into the doctors, and I was worried. Yeah, I had to go to the hospital and a clinic. And one of my neighbors is sick now with the flu. And I was like 20 feet away. Just stay over there. I don't want it. I love you, brother, but I don't want it. Whatever it is, that's the way this thing's going to go now. We don't know who. It could be anywhere now. They've been tamping it down so long. I got a bad gut feeling about this, brothers and sisters. And with the Pence running things now, and then the gag order, not good. And then again, there's so many other things going on. While we're watching this, there's the war getting ready to start. I had a contact that told me 100,000 troops are ready to move out. I think, and more, he said, possibly. Okay, then we've got other things, the plague from the grasshoppers, the food's getting ate up. We had destroyed crops in the last few years. How much food does our government have put up? We've been selling it and giving it all away to other countries for so long. You know, and I'm all for helping out when you can. I am not, I'm going to say it, not out for helping China at this point. I feel for the people. They've got enough resources. They've got stuff piled up. They can create all this stuff. And they have the nerve to tell us they will not be sending us any masks. And they're unable to send us any medications. Is Canada going to step up? Hey, Canadian bros across the border, how much medication can you guys put out? Can you supply the United States if we give you the whole contract? Like what Mr. T was saying? If you're in Canada and you have some knowledge, or you're a doctor or work in pharmaceuticals, contact me. I'd love to interview you. Always, anybody can get me through my email. I have a contact phone I will give you. You can call me on it. It's strictly for business. We're going to use it for call-ins on the live show when it's set up. Here we go.
Will Carr, thank you very much for that. And we have some breaking news. The county of Santa Clara in California is holding a press conference on the coronavirus where we expect to learn more about this second case. Let's listen in.
We already seen this.
Testing, you can't isolate where those patients came from, trace who they were exposed to, and find out all the clues in the community, which right now in California they have to do in 2 counties in the dark, pitch black, and delayed by 1 to 2 weeks. So testing is a cornerstone to isolating this epidemic. And without testing, you can't have an epidemic. This is why it is so critical that we have testing nationwide.
And Tom, in your experience as someone who's worked as a global health security, how prepared are we at the federal level to combat this?
Yeah, so there's a couple of answers to that, but we're at the second inflection point. So the first inflection point has to do with the quarantining that we've seen take place already in an attempt to contain this. We're past containment. This will spread. It will spread in the United States. The degree and the time of that spread is unknown. We don't want to create any panic.
He doesn't want to create any panic. It will spread. It is here. That's exact. He works for the government. This is no President T tapping down. This is another official that's coming out and being a hero like one of the China doctor. These guys are heroes that are taking a step out and telling us it's here, it's coming, and to get prepared. Heroes. Because you know what? They're going to they may lose their jobs for this. But it's just like the guy before him, we caught part of it, is they're out of 200 testing kits, they don't work right. In order to call it this or call it that, they want to have so many tests come up. Well, we don't need the tests. We already know it's here. We already see it spreading per states. And then we've got states like Oregon with little brain Governor Kate covering it up. Oh, everything's just okay. I'm little brain Governor Kate. And you know, la-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da. And by the way, let's look at other things right now. Because there is no virus in Oregon. BS, little brain Kate. BS. And Wyden, whether you like him or not, I've worked with the guy for many, many years on different things off and on. I'm having trouble getting a hold of him and what will he do? There's this big battle, remember, between the left and the right now. Do you really think things are going to get accomplished? And I tuned into something where Pelosi and her bunch of goons were going off and starting trouble over this virus thing. Come on, guys, get it together. That's why I come back at you again, guys. We're not the 1%. You, I, your neighbors, all of it. We are, and it was the best call ever, the 99%. We are the 99%. We are the 99%. And you know what? Together, we are unstoppable. Together, we will live through this. We will make it, brothers and sisters. Be strong. Be safe. Here's some more.
But the point that the doctor just made is important because right now we don't have diagnostic testing, and the CDC is still waiting for definitive diagnostic testing. We're up against now 2 clocks, and this answers your question about whether state, local governments and health authorities are ready for this. If we get to, scientists tell us this, if we get to 1% spread in the population, it's too late for these non-pharmaceutical interventions to really work. And so that's the first timeline that we're running up against.
And we're past the 1%, well past the 1%. So that's done. Let's see what 2 is.
The second one is this race to get these diagnostic tests deployed to hospitals, to have these tests conducted on actual patients, and to get those reliable numbers back. If those 2 timelines start to run into one another, where we're approaching 1% and we have evidence to suspect that we're getting there, because again, it'll be probably 14, 20 days in front of us actually getting there, we're going to have to start making hard decisions and shifting away from this insistence on diagnostic testing results and into clinical ones. They're less reliable, but if someone, let's say a patient, shows up demonstrating the symptoms of an upper respiratory problem like the flu and perhaps test negative for the flu, you're going to have to start presumptively thinking that they are potential COVID patients. When you do that, it's less reliable, but it gives you the information necessary to make good decisions, maybe not perfect ones. As that happens.
And we're there, guys. I put it to you, we're there. And I've already heard rumors through a couple of my contacts that they're putting people back out on the street and they weren't tested. Period. And they had where it's step 2. They look like this, but Samaritan, I'm just going to come out and say it, Samaritan, the wonderful people who took millions, if not billions of dollars from the Obama cash funds that were spread into the states. And in the state of Oregon, our wonderful Governor Kitzhaber was playing the stock market like Martha Stewart. Think about it. Look it up if you know what I mean. And gave it all out to Samaritan, tons of money. And those people are not reliable. And they're not testing the patients, like I just said. And I have an inside source that told me so. So, what do? Well, you just keep tuning in to Healthcare Sucks, my friends. And I say that with a smile because I love you. And you guys have been great to me. Without you, I wouldn't be me. And I'm being humble, man. I'm here only as long as you want me here. I mean, if the majority of the people said get lost healthcare, or wrote me the letter and said, healthcare, you suck, I'd be gone. If you wrote me a letter or a card to Troy at Healthcare Sucks, P.O. Box 3, Otis, Oregon, 97368, and said, healthcare, you suck, get lost. If the majority said that, I'd be gone. And this is my other little spill. If you have a concert shirt or a really cool shirt you send in, I will wear it. But as for money, we're not asking you for $1. And we're not even asking you for that. I'm going to get back to seriousness because that was just a play thing. Everybody's going to have, you're going to have to research this stuff too. If you don't have time and you just tune in to healthcare, cool. Because this is what I'm doing now. I'm dedicating myself to the W.19.C. That's what we're calling it. W.19.C. I think it's catchy. And I'll explain it. The Wuhan 19 coronavirus. Because somebody needs to. And because I've done healthcare for a long time, I'm going to. Let's tune into a little bit more and then I'll let you go. But so much to cover, guys. I'll try to get out at least one, if not 2 more videos tonight. Trying to get live set up for this weekend. And then I would like to be able to have a computer program to run it. I got a hold of Homegrown USA. Hey, buddy. I appreciate you subscribed on one of my things somewhere. If you would let me know what you and Marv are running on the program to do your thumbnails and set up your computer so I can do live, I will run with it. I'll get it set up and we'll do some rocking stuff. And I'm giving you a shout out anyway because Homegrown USA, you're awesome. Rip Curl has got a hold of me. He's awesome. Snaps. Awesome. Heard from BP today. Not personally. I mean, I wish I got calls from BP. It'd be awesome. Even a email from you, BP. Yeah, you're busy, man. And Marv, we're watching your show because you know what? You're bringing the truth, brother. And we love you. And that's a shout out to the Marfugals. Love you, Marfugs. Just so much. Let's watch a little bit more and then I'll tone out for this.
The government's going to have to start making staggered decisions, not centralized ones out of the federal government, but state and local ones and community-based ones. And that's the race that we're going to have to pay attention to for the next week.
And Dr. Pockleding, this is a question that's been asked and answered, but I think people are still interested and eager to know. They're wearing face masks. They're canceling trips because of COVID-19. What should we actually be doing to protect ourselves and to prevent the spread?
Well, right now, I think until we have a vaccine or antiviral drugs that are known to work, which vaccine will take a year and antiviral drugs will take 6 to 9 months to prove that it works, we have to focus on other countermeasures and
6 months to a year.
to delay and slow the progression. Again, this is inevitable. So besides the obvious things like hand washing, we need to practice social distancing. Social distancing means a wide range of things like avoiding concerts and rallies, maybe even political rallies. So we might have to think about that in the near future.
And that's the other thing we touched on, and BP touched on it today, is you love Trump rallies, but you're not going to be able to go, guys, because it's a major place. No mass. It's being transmitted. It can and will. That's another reason he's sad, is because that's his strong point. He's going to lose that. He's going to have to do what he does is start doing it on some kind of nightly show thing or every other night. He's going to have to go to his own programming, something else, but it's going to have to happen. So with that, I'm going to let you go. And anything you want to confirm out there, check it out. If you do your own research or you know somebody, like I said, in healthcare, get a hold of me. No gag orders here. I will, protect your identities fully. And with that, for now, one last time, because I promised. God. He promised. And this is for all you people out there. Make sure you wash your hands. Cough in a rag. And always watch Healthcare